Alright, so today we are diving back into our single cab 6.0 project build. This is going to be quite a project on this truck. However, today we're just tackling injectors. This does have a cylinder 8 contribution fault, so we need to go ahead and get that squared away and get that fixed. Basically, if you haven't been following along with this truck, we're taking two trucks and kind of making one good one out of them. So if you have seen or haven't seen, this is now our donor truck, which used to be my little single cab baby, but sold it and then bought it back, and after buying it back it was wrecked and there was just too much. It wasn't going to be a good clean base to build off of, so ended up scooping this truck. I love everything about this truck. It's got a little more rust than I would like. It does look like it's just surface rust, so we'll eventually clean up the frame, all that good stuff. But yeah, so for today we're going to try and fix cylinder 8. We're just going to go ahead and change all the injectors out. I've got the set out of that truck. From what I was told, those are 175/30s. I don't believe that. I think they're factories, but we'll dive into those a little bit more. I've got them soaking right now to hopefully clean them up a little bit. But in the meantime, we need to go ahead and get this charge pipe off, this intake pipe, our coolant reservoir, and just anything else that may be in the way of getting our valve covers and stuff like that off. We'll have to pull the fickum, things like that. But that's what we're getting into today. So I'm gonna put you guys on a quick time lapse, and we're gonna get these things pulled out and go from there. Got our old injectors out, got everything disassembled. Our old ones are right here. It goes 2, 4, 6, and 8 down here in the bottom. So we'll go through those here in just a second and see how they look. Well, this thing's got a little bit of weight to them, but we're gonna walk these over into the shop. Well, I say shop, the shed. Here is one of our new/used injectors. Like I said, they've been soaking for little bit. Again, our old ones, and this is what they're soaking in. It's seafoam and transmission fluid mixed. Never tried it before, but just kind of came up with the idea and was like, hey, let's see what it does. So got them all soaking in here. So I'm gonna let those soak a little bit more, but we do need to go ahead and finish cleaning these up, get some new O-rings on them, and go from there. But real quick, I want to show you guys a comparison between the one that was in number 8 and one of the ones that we've been soaking. So like I said, this one came out of our old single cab, our donor truck, and this one came out of the truck outside. So I mean, it looks not awful, but you know, it's kind of hard to tell on the inside or the outside, I mean. But I mean, they definitely look a little bit different, but like I said, this one's been soaking a while, so I don't know. Hopefully these ones work pretty well, so and we didn't do all this for nothing. We're gonna go ahead and get all these squared away, get the new O-rings on, and get them put back in the truck, see what happens. If anybody needs the part number, alright, so we've got all of our brand used injectors here. Now, these 4 are the cleanest I can find out of the group. This one's pretty clean, but it's, you know, we'll put it on that side. So what I'm thinking is I found some part numbers on these. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's RMN 042768. And from what I can find, the RMN 04 just means that it's a remanufactured injector. The number below it is the serial number for identification. So basically what I'm seeing here is that these are just standard remand OEM injectors. So I'm not too sure that they've got, you know, any special nozzles on them or anything like that, because usually, you know, you'd find some markings on them somewhere. Especially if these were Warren diesel like they claimed, then I would imagine Warren would have their name on, you know, most of their stuff. But so what I'm thinking now is I think I'm just gonna throw these 4 back into the driver's side and get it bolted back up and get it all put back together. Crank it up, see if it runs any better, and see if that fixes our number 8 issue, at least before we dive into the passenger side. So since it's not really an injector upgrade, I really don't see the need in replacing the whole passenger side, especially if they're still good. So gonna get these put in, get it all put back together, hopefully be able to fire it up tonight. I doubt it. We are losing daylight, so we may have to jump back into this tomorrow. I really need to start doing my projects earlier in the day and stop waiting so late. Anyways, gonna get these thrown in and see what happens. Alright, so before we get too carried away, there is one more thing we need to do. Whenever you pull out injectors, you're gonna have some leftover oil or fuel that drains down into the cylinder. So we need to just take the little bump starter line over here, hook it to the battery, turn the motor over, let it push all that out. I'm gonna hold the valve cover on the top of it just so that it doesn't spill all over the engine bay. But yeah, so that's step number 1. Alright, well unfortunately we're out of daylight. It's getting really cold. I'm starting to get cold. I don't like working in the cold. But needless to say, we've got the injectors in. They're bolted down. We still need to torque them, but we couldn't do that tonight because my 3/8 torque wrench decided that it wanted to leave the chat and doesn't want to turn on anymore. So it would have been a nice time to have one of the good old-fashioned, you know, manual clicker types. It would have gotten us out of this and we could have kept going, but that's all right. We'll run in the morning and get a 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter. We'll put it on the big torque wrench and, you know, just make sure that they're torqued down like they're supposed to be. We'll get the top end put all back together and hopefully this thing runs good. So I'm excited. I hope it runs good. I hope this fixes it. If it doesn't, then I guess we'll just have to keep diving into it, see what's going on, and go from there. All right, it is the next day. We have our adapter for our torque wrench. It's really nice outside. I've got a fresh haircut. And if you don't have a barber that can cut your hair, and you have to go home and change your shirt and all that because you're all itchy and stuff, you need to find a new barber. That's the ticket. That is the ticket. Anyways, jumping back in. So like I said, we need to torque these down. Once we have that done, we'll get the top end thrown back together, get some coolant in this thing, crank it up, see how it does. We'll probably hook the laptop to it and connect it to ForScan just to kind of monitor everything, see how our injectors are looking, stuff like that. But I'm really hopeful that this will do it because again, I'd really like to start driving this thing around and hopefully, start making this thing look better. Obviously, I don't want to, put new bumpers and grills and stuff like that in it and headlights if we're going to have to be, diving into the front of it all the time. And, I don't want to spend a lot of money getting, good paint work done and then be climbing over it all the time. So I'd rather get the, engine and stuff situated, get all that good and going. And then once we know it's drivable and everything's good, then we'll start working on the cosmetics. But that is coming, so stay tuned for all that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing running again. So that is done. Now we can start sticking these back up through the valve cover head, whatever you want to call it, rocker box. Get these situated, get our injectors plugged back in, get our oil rail put back on, and we should be on home stretch. Man, they've been clearing behind my house, and I'm terrified that they're about to put a neighborhood in. And if they do, we're out of here for sure. So if you've got some land for sale, let me know. Got to lube up your O-rings. Now we can get our oil rail back in here and keep on trucking. hard part is done. Our injectors are in, everything's buttoned up. The only thing we have left to do is we need to go ahead and spin the motor over a little bit just to make sure it's not going to try to hydro lock or anything like that, because that would be a bad day. Then we got to pull glow plugs and all that stuff, and I don't want to do that because I'm sure you guys know by now I'm a little bit lazy. So anyways, next thing we need to do is fill it up with coolant, but I want to make sure it runs and all that before we go through everything like that. I'm going to get my laptop charged up so we can run 4scan, make sure everything is in parameters, looks like it should, and really just see if it kind of got rid of the smoking. That was the biggest thing, was all the white smoke, which again, I'm pretty sure was due to number 8. So hopefully this did it. We'll see, but yeah, let's fire this puppy up. Well, I do believe that it is safe to say that it is not hydro-locked. Without further ado, let's make something happen. Alright, well that was not successful. I guess we still got fuel we got to get up there, but I saw a lot of black smoke and not white smoke, so hopefully that's a plus. Hopefully this thing doesn't run away when it fires up. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Alright, so we've been trying to get this thing started off just hopes and dreams, really. We haven't been monitoring any data or anything like that to see if we're getting the right parameters that we need. So basically, we want to make sure that we have sync for the crank and cam, FICM sync. We want to make sure our FICM powers are good. We want to make sure our ICP and IPR are both where they need to be. So we'll go ahead and check all that now. Let me get this going. Alright, so there's all of our readings. Alright, so if we look at our graph here, it's going to be kind of hard to read because you guys probably won't be able to see it as well. But basically we've got our IPC or ICP pressure and our IPR percentage. It looks like our IPR pretty much maxed out, which is not what we want, but it looked like once we got some oil pressure, it dropped back down, and should be enough to start. Our ICP definitely had enough pressure to start. I don't know if we have an issue with the IPR, which I have before with this truck, so it's possible. I did notice that we lose cam and crank sync a few times. But everything else, I mean, the Fickum power drops down to 4650, which I don't like, but our batteries are a little weak, so that's kind of expected, which isn't good, but it is what it is. So honestly, I think it's just not getting fuel yet. It may just take a little while. I haven't done one of these in so long, so I guess we just keep trying. So it looks like it was just a mixture of needing more fuel and not enough battery. So we hooked it up to the Cummins and got some juice to it, and now it seems to be running, but as you can tell, it's still pretty smoky, so it doesn't look like anything changed. So I'm afraid that cylinder 8 may be toast. You know, when I got this thing, the rings were seized, so there's a good possibility that the rings are just fried, but we're going to take it down the road, see what it does. So maybe it'll clean itself out, maybe not, who knows. But worst case scenario, we'll just have to pull the engine and build it, unless, you know, like I've stated before, we go the Cummins route. But I think it'd be more fun just to build the 6.0 and keep that as the power plant and make something rowdy out of it. So hopefully we don't have to do that, but if we do, you know, it is what it is. It's one of those things. That's all part of it, but she does run again. So it's kind of like we did a whole lot of nothing, and everything's just kind of the same. Well, I was going to drive this thing, but it's pretty well toasted. I tried power braking it, it didn't build any power, and it's just, I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those things where at this point it's just better to go ahead and pull the motor and start fresh. And you can see all the blow by. Hey, it's just, at the end of the day, it's not healthy. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do, is go ahead and pull the motor, go ahead and start tearing it down and see what it needs. Go ahead and put some ARP head studs in it and just make something cool out of it, I guess. So didn't want to do it now, but I guess the time has come. So we'll be down for the count for a while, but on the flip side, that means more content. So we will be making videos of everything we do to it, so stay tuned. Unfortunately, yeah, I think cylinder 8's just fried. But if you guys have any other ideas before I start tearing this down, leave them down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. But other than that, I appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll get to see you again. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe.